Stagnation in fitness, even in life. We sometimes chalk that up to laziness, don't we? But many people feel stuck in their fitness, their routines, even their mindset because life is just turned into the same pattern on repeat. Have you ever caught yourself saying, oh, just the same old, or same stuff, different day, that sort of thing? Work looks the same, movement feels the same, days blur together. Effort increases, but the results that you have, those feel flat. Stay with me till the end because you're going to understand how intentional variety restores energy and improves your consistency and really helps progress feel totally amazing, much lighter, much more fun instead of feeling forced. And if your routine really feels in that heavy moment or stalled out, even though you feel like you're trying, head over to talktoperry.com. I'll drop that in the lower third if you're watching on the video here. Just where we can get a focused time where you can identify where those small strategic changes can restore your energy without feeling like you've got to start all over again. That's over at talktoperry.com. So today we're talking about variety, and I think a lot of times we find we misunderstand it. We think it's just some random change. I got to do something different. I got to do something wild and crazy. I got to chase something new. That ends up kind of being in that shiny object syndrome. But that can often create chaos, burnout. Here's the thing. Real variety, it's a structured change that keeps your body and your mind in this responsive state where you're excited about things but not distracted. The human system, it adapts quickly. We sometimes just don't give it time to adapt, right? And when we adapt, sometimes the stimulation fades. And when the stimulation fades, the engagement drops. And that's when motivation starts to feel unreliable. But that shows up in fitness. Doing the same movements all the time, the same pace, eventually ends up stopping, and you're not challenging the body enough. So you've got to mix it up. A lot of times we will sign up for a gym membership and we will just get into this routine and we won't change it. We won't vary it. Or maybe there'll be a class of some sort and we'll go, no, that's not for me. See, that's what I did. I realized, I'm never doing yoga. I'm never doing that. And so I resisted it until I learned that just by opening up, adding in a little bit of variety, other things shifted and expanded for me to where I just made more significant gains. So if you find yourself in that redundant moment, well, your strength's going to stall, your energy dips, right? The solution here, it's not pushing harder. It really is just changing the input. That's variety. Variety in movement, it's simple. This could even be like when you're doing exercise, maybe you like certain style of exercise, changing the tempo of it, changing the time of day when you go into your workout, shifting the intensity, especially across the week, instead of every session's got to be the same old. There's that phrase again, right? Strength days will start to feel different, and they'll be different than other mobility days, and getting in some walking will feel different than training. Recovery, building that in. I used to be resistant to recovery days. I used to feel that doing a recovery session was taking a day off. And I was like, why even bother? Why even waste my time doing that? Let's hit the gym hard again. Not realizing the growth and the strength gets built. It really happens during the recovery times. I just didn't know that. It was kind of like my own ignorance. That's why I do these things on this podcast, is to help people out from my own experiences. So when we do those things, we keep the body alert and responsive. And some of these things that I'm sharing with you today, they apply outside of the fitness arena. Just even looking at your daily structure. I get it. I love having a routine that I can count on in a system. I don't even look at a routine just to have a system. But if your days end up feeling rushed, they often end up exhausted. A lot of times people will get in the routine of hitting the snooze button over and over, and then wake up in a scramble, then gripe about the traffic and things don't seem to go their way, and they put that on repeat. So that ends up being a chaotic week. And when they start to think of, oh, I need to really lose some weight and do some exercise, they're already talking themselves out of it because they feel exhausted. Okay. Sometimes it's just changing the order of things. I used to be in my structure and routine was get my workouts done after work. Right when I got home from work, I hit the gym. Then I came across the idea of, what if I exercised in the morning before work? Oh boy, I resisted that. No way. I need my sleep. I'm the guy that hits the snooze button. Are you kidding me? So I'm like, okay, over the next 30 days, I'm going to test out that theory. Now, I resisted for a week or so, but once I got into that, here's what I discovered. I had more energy. My workouts were actually better in the morning when I didn't think it would be. I had more energy throughout the day. And when I got home, there wasn't the scramble to figure out, when am I going to get my workout in? I was already done. For, getting aside from the fitness stuff, this might be, just your day-to-day stuff. Maybe it's quiet time before your screen time. Maybe it's movement before meetings. Maybe it's just the space between each demand that you have, just taking time for yourself, looking at how you eat. Eating some foods. Are you eating it just out of convenience, or are you doing it to fuel your body? So variety here. It means just rotating the quality options, something that supports your goals without you having to overthink it. And when you're talking about food stuff, you're talking improving digestion, appetite awareness, consistency. It's just kind of mixing it up a little bit without totally doing a complete overhaul. This can even help you with how you think. Are you doing some sort of repetition in your head, creating your own overwhelm, creating your own drama moments? Sometimes just solving those problems. You keep wanting to solve the problems, but you keep replaying different things in your mind and limiting the clarity. So that might be just a matter of changing perspective, timing, environment. Those things can really restore your focus. Getting out in nature, fresh air can make a big difference. Now, I get it. A lot of these things that I'm sharing here, you can probably have an opposite reaction to it and say, nope, that won't work for me. You know what I used to do? When I would hear some ideas that may improve what I could do in life and fitness, stuff like that, a lot of times I would find myself in this loop of trying to find a crack and a flaw of why it wouldn't work for me. That way I could dismiss it and didn't even have to take it on. The things that can improve your life, are you dismissing those and trying to find a crack and a flaw of why it won't work for you? Be aware of that talk and that mind chatter that you have there. When your system feels safe, effort feels manageable. And when the effort feels manageable, well, that's when your consistency returns. Speaking of that, a lot of times people confuse consistency with sameness. No. Consistency is commitment. Sameness, that's the stagnation part. Long-term progress, it really comes from staying committed while adjusting the input as life goes on. There's this emotional benefit to that. Repetition without relief, that creates resentment, I think. And the resentment is leading to avoidance, and then you're avoiding the things, or at least, when you're finding the crack and the flaw, you're letting yourself off the hook without actually saying, I'm letting myself off the hook here. You'll justify it. You'll rationalize it. You'll have a good reason for it. I'm talking about variety here. And variety reintroduces choice without you sacrificing the structure that you have. Stay in motion while you're honoring your capacity. This matters for people who wear the busy badge. Are you one of those? You always tell people that I'm good. I'm just busy. Are you overworked, overweight, overwhelmed? Pressure-based systems, they eventually collapse. A lot of times we pressure ourselves to have to go after a goal, and we put so much pressure on it that it hits a tipping point. Where if you look at it and you're saying, I'm going to put in a variety, I'm going to adapt and adjust as I go along the way, that's what's going to endure. Resistance, I mean, it's just something that's there that when you are aware of it, you've got the option to do something around it. And the variety, it's going to build resilience in you. So, I mean, those are just some big things that I found as I went along. My friend Tony Horton, shout out to you, Tony, when he talks about variety being the spice of life, that's like adding great, awesome spice to your routine. And another overlooked benefit is confidence. When you've got the variety in there, you stop trying to be perfect, and you just you adjust as the plans shift. You enjoy the journey more. You're no longer somebody who falls off the wagon. You just adjust. And a lot of times people will say that. They'll be like, well, I got to get back on the wagon again. No. With variety, and when you're going and having this perspective shift, you're like, oh my gosh, no, I'm just adjusting, course correcting. That shift, it really changes everything. Progress, it doesn't require more discipline. It just requires better input. And when the variety supports your structure, your energy returns, consistency becomes natural to you, and your progress stops slipping away. So that's how growth becomes sustainable, and really life starts to feel more engaged again. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. You can drop those down in the comments. I promise I will reply. This is totally awesome. It's going to be a great year for you. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear. What's going on? I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.